And as we approach a couple minutes past the hour, thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming at millerandmoulton.com and broadcasting live on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. It is a pleasure to welcome for the first time as head coach of UCF, Gus Malzahn is kind enough to join us. Coach, we appreciate your time. How the heck are you?
Man, doing good. It's fast and furious here. We're getting ready for spring ball on Monday. Been here about 3 weeks and hired the staff, met the players, and we're on go.
Coach, I've got to think just the saying we've got spring ball coming in a few weeks. After the year that has been, you got to be just excited about spring ball, I would think.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Of course, last year was a real tough experience on everyone. Just the fact that we can get out there and work with our guys in the spring, especially coming in new, and learning our players. And I know our whole staff is really excited to get out on the grass with our guys and get to work.
Did you think 2 months ago that you would be coaching today? Was your intent to be coaching? Was your intent to, I'll just take a year off and see what's out there? And then this job opened up and you said, ooh, I'd like that. I mean, 2 months ago, what was your intention for 2021?
Yeah, before this job came open, I was going to do some TV and then I was going to get prepared for next year and getting a job. When this job came open, it's always been a job that, I've always looked at that if the right guy would ever get here and stay here and build it, this place could be as good as any program in college football. And so then when Terry got hired, I guess, a week later, I was with him at Arkansas State and we won a championship together and he's a go-getter. And so I just told my wife, hey, we're going full court press and see if we can get that job. And of course we did. And now that I've been here for three weeks, 3+ weeks, I mean, it just confirmed everything. So just really excited and ready to go.
Coach, obviously you've recruited Florida. Everybody's recruited Florida. But now being a coach in the state of Florida, what advantages does that give you to do what you just talked about, to recruit the talent that's in this state and to keep UCF where in the last few years they're accustomed to being, and that is right there in the same sentence as Miami, Florida State, and Florida?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I was at Auburn 11 out of the last 12 years and recruited the state extremely hard. We have relationships, with 20, 22, 23, 24 prospects. We know the coaches, so we're very familiar. And then the fact that I'm here right in the middle of the state, I mean, it's just a prime place to recruit to. And just like you said, I mean, the foundation's been laid. I mean, this has been a top 25 program probably the last 4 to 5 years. And, and at times they were as good as any team in the country. And so we're just trying to kind of keep that consistency and really feel like we got a chance to be a top 10 team in a short period of time. And so that's our goal and that's what we're striving for.
Talking college football with UCF's football coach, Gus Malzahn. When your recruiting strategy, you go back to Schnellenberger at Miami 40 years ago in which he said, I want to put a fence around this 3-county area. The guy at SMU is doing that right now around Dallas-Fort Worth, and it's paying dividends. When you look at where you are in the state, are you trying to get all corners, or is your primary area you're going to draw 100-mile or whatever it is circle and go, we're going to own this, and then we're going to get everything else that we can?
Yeah, it's going to start in Orlando, and we kind of we've got our little state of Orlando where every one of our coaches has 6 to 8 schools. It's going to start here, but really the state of Florida. I mean, that there's great players, y'all know that, and we want to compete. Everybody in the country comes in here to compete for our best players, but we think we have a lot to offer right here at home. We're a program on the rise. Like I said, the foundation's been laid, and got a chance to do something special. And so that's our dream and that's our vision. And I think a lot of young men want to be a part of something, unique and special instead of just plugged in at a place to keep something going.
Well, Coach, I certainly hope that part of that is in Southwest Florida because there's a couple of players from this area. I've always thought that both the UCF and UCF have underutilized our area, and a bunch of kids like Sammy Watkins end up going to Clemson when they could be playing in Florida. Your predecessor and Danny White at the athletic director wanted these 2-for-1s, wouldn't play a Florida or these schools unless he could get a home and home. Is your philosophy with Terry different? Is this going to be a little more like the old Florida State, anytime, any place, anywhere? Because from where we sit, that seems to be what UCF has to do. What do you think you have to do?
Yeah, like I said in my introductory press conference, I mean, I'll play him in the parking lot twice. It doesn't matter. We'll go wherever. I know Terry is on the same page about being aggressive with our scheduling, and we would love to play the in-state schools. I think it'd be great for everyone, and let's see who the best is. And so if it's 2 for 1, 3 for 1, whatever, Terry will decide all that. But I just want to play him.
We have a small Division I school in our backyard here, and there's a couple programs that have reached national prominence. And we've always thought that, I know the argument is, as you're becoming nationally prominent, nobody wants to play you. But, Gus, my thought is, if you guys are a top 25 program, why do they have to schedule, a game against a top 25 program elsewhere? They could just schedule you. And since money's now a bigger factor in college sports than ever before, I mean, in a strange, perverted way, do you think you guys becoming what you've become can actually make scheduling easier?
Well, I mean, we're hoping so. I mean, every situation's different. Every athletic director's philosophy is different. But I do think, everybody would like to see the in-state schools play, specifically us. It's kind of one of those, been a program on the rise the last, 4 or 5 years. And I think guys would like to see, or the national people would like to see, us play Florida State, or Miami.
You've been very innovative offensively, and I think the UCF fan was so excited to have you as the head coach because they've liked the fact that this team has been up-tempo. I'm guessing that doesn't change much, but what is it that you think you bring differently than what they've ever seen before to UCF?
Well, I think it's a good match from the standpoint that they've been playing fast, and that's what I love to do. So we'll continue to do that. I think probably the biggest difference is, I really believe that to beat the top schools, you got to be balanced. And so we're going to run the ball downhill, and we're going to throw it deep. I mean, that's really our philosophy, running a 2-minute offense the entire game. And so it'll be a good transition. I feel like there'll be some tweaks. We're a little bit different than what they've done in the past, but we'll keep building upon that.
Coach, in a strange way, has COVID helped maybe with recruiting in-state kids? Because it seems as if, first off, there aren't any visits, and also that during these times, people have wanted to stay closer to home. I mean, we're all hoping that this is going to be in our rearview mirror in the next few months. But in a way, as you're recruiting now for the next class, are you finding that maybe kids are wanting to stay a little bit closer to home?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I think for us, though, I mean, some programs have an advantage if they can get you on campus and relationships, build those. And we're the type that we have a lot to offer here. I really think that if we can get even in-state guys to visit us and then to visit our staff, I mean, we got a great staff. I mean, they're not only great coaches, but they're great people. And, I think kids nowadays, I mean, they want to be cared about more than what they can do on the football field. And we have a staff that'll do that. And I think that's going to be real attractive to young men. But I'm hoping it opens up. But I think you're probably right, big picture. I think COVID really people will stay closer to home because of that. But, for us, we'd love for this thing to open up so we can start developing true face-to-face relationships.
Gus, you said right at the beginning, we hit the ground running. Talk to me, talk to us and your fans here, because we have a lot of UCF fans in this market, about just how you got the ball rolling. I mean, you have to come in recruiting. You have to come in. You've got to introduce yourself to a whole team. How difficult is it? Because you talked about relationships. Well, you've got, 80, 85 men here that you've got to make relationships with quickly, and everybody's going to buy in and trust initially. But how does that go for you and your staff to get to meet all these kids? How do you go about making sure your players are comfortable with you and your staff from the get-go?
Yeah, the biggest challenge for me coming in is we got hired so late and trying to play catch-up. So I took the first 9 days just trying to hire a full staff. It was just me and Travis Williams, for about 5 days here. So hiring the staff, and that's the most important thing a coach can do to get the right people. So we got that done in 9 days. Met with every one of our players, for 10 minutes just to kind of get to know them and name with a face and all that. And then once we got everybody here, we're started recruiting, and we're playing catch up on recruiting, but we're getting up early, staying up late, on the phone, on Zooms, just trying to sell a vision and develop these relationships. And then we're getting ready for spring ball to start Monday. So there's a lot of moving parts, but boy, it's a lot of fun. It's very exciting right now, but it's a lot of work.
What was it about this job that made you turn to your wife and go, hey, if I can get this thing, we're going to be moving? I mean, and I'm curious, did it go back to when you played UCF in the Peach Bowl 3 years ago? I mean, what was it specifically about this job that you said, oh, I got to have this?
Yeah, it's all above what you just said. I mean, this is a great job. It's not a good job. It's a great job. And like I said, the foundation, there's been great players here before, great coaches, and it's fit. I really think this job fits me. This is a program that has a chip on their shoulder. I've got a chip on my shoulder. I coached 15 years of high school football, and this is my 16th year to coach college. And so, I've heard all the high school this, high school that, and I use that to my advantage. And so I really think I'm 55 years old. And, I'd like this to be my last stop. I've been at a big school, won a national championship, been there, done that. And I'm excited about what the future holds here. And it's very bright. And I think if you walk around campus right now, you can feel it. And so we're just wanting to give all of our fans and all of our students ownership on what's about to happen and do this together.
Gus, talk to our high school coaches that are listening right now, because there are a lot of them. And, when you said that, I kind of got a smile on my face. You coached high school football not that long ago. We've been doing this job for as long. You were coaching high school football when David and I got started doing a show together. So it's not that long ago. And I think for a lot of high school football coaches, I don't know if every college coach talks to them as an equal, but it sure seems to me like when you sit down with a high school coach that they're going to listen to you and go, 30-year-old high school coach can look at you and go, I could be Gus Malzahn in 25 years.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I've got a responsibility. I was very blessed to have an opportunity to get in college football. And there's a lot of high school coaches that are a lot smarter than me that just hadn't got that opportunity. Matter of fact, the best coaches I've ever been around are high school coaches because they're teachers. And they've got what they've got. They've got to make the best of it. They got to motivate. They got to instruct. And I just feel a responsibility that, I've got to do a great job just to try to help, more high school coaches get the same opportunity that I've had. Now, since I have been in college, we put a lot of high school coaches in college. And I always felt like, college football needs more good people that truly care about their players and a lot bigger than the football, and take the business side out. So we've got a lot of guys around the country that are former high school coaches that are in the college game now, making a huge difference. And so that's kind of one of those things that's important to me that I'm going to continue to do that. Now, I will say this, the coaches in this state, I mean, there's some big time guys that I've known for a long time that could be doing exactly what I'm doing. And so it's really good to develop those relationships even more here in the state.
Is the job of being a head coach in big time college football harder than ever before? I would think with the transfer portal, it looks as if they're going to pass the rule, which is going to allow kids to leave without having to sit out a year. Now we're going to have to deal with name, image, and likeness. Is the job harder than it was 15 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was it's harder than it was 5 years ago. I just think the social media and all the aspects that you just said, it's the college game's changing, recruiting is changing because of the transfers, and so you've got to kind of be ahead of the game as far as that. You got to figure out within your program, what strategies you're going to use to build it. And but yeah, it's definitely a challenge. But for me, like I said, this is my 16th year to be in college. I enjoy it. And like I said, the most important thing to me is developing relationships with players. And, that's the same thing that happened in high school.
Gus, you talked about hiring a staff. How early on in the hiring process was the person who handles, I don't know what the right title is, but the social media recruiting? I know how important the digital presence is and doing the right things for these kids you're recruiting. How early was that hire in these 9 days of putting your staff together?
Yeah, we had a really good team already set up here at the university that really I met with the first day I got hired. That I learned a lot about our university, our school, just trying the ins and outs, and they've done a great job helping. We've got a couple guys on staff that really actively help me with ideas. Of course, Travis Williams, our defense coordinator, is probably one of the most creative recruiters all in college football. And you will see him out and about. He's a great coach, great person, was with me at Auburn. Really deserves a lot of credit for our defense that we've been 4 out of the last 5 years, top 15. So, but I got enough young guys on my staff, SJ Tui, which he's kind of a professional at that social media too. So I got a lot of help.
How important is spring ball for any new head coach into a program? But, with everything that last year brought and now this year is still bringing, how key is spring ball in your estimation this year?
Well, for us, it's very important just to learn our players, and everybody's starting out at the same level. So it's a great opportunity maybe for the guys that hadn't played as much, but we're going to go out there, put the ball down Monday. And I will tell you this, I mean, we're putting our foundation, offense and defense in, but it's going to be a whole lot of evaluation and kind of see what we have after in the spring, build around our strengths and get a great plan for fall.
Coach, we were excited that you agreed to do this with us today. There's a lot of UCF fans in the 239. I know you know that from recruiting. Hopefully we can do this again in the future. Best of luck, and hopefully we can talk before your season opener against Boise.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach.
Gus Malzahn, been on the job about a month. I think February 15th, I believe, was the date in which he was hired. And September 4th, Boise State at home. Nice little opener. Thank you very much. That should get a little bit of attention at least.
Sorry, I did something I've never done in the history of this show since doing an interview. I actually got off the phone to thank them. I usually just hang up on people because we're doing a live show. That I don't do very often. And
Nope.
We all know the fun I've had with UCF under a previous regime. But did you hear? I'll play him in a parking lot.
Right.
That's not what Danny White said, David.
Right.
Danny White said, no. I've got to have a home and home because I'm more important than you. No. I'll play you in a parking lot. That's the attitude when you're the fourth team. They might, right now, they're better than FSU. We know that. If they played Florida State, they would beat them. We get it. But they're still number 4. And when you're number 4, you can't act like number 1. That's the attitude. They've got a chip on their shoulder. I've got a chip on my shoulder. Okay, I'm in.
And I believe if we go back and play it, I thought he said I'd play him twice in a parking lot or play him in a parking lot twice.
Right.
So very Bobby Bowden-ish from back in the day. Line them up. Let's knock them down.
And we can't talk about it, but as I was looking stuff up, he just got his first commit from a high school kid, and I know they can't talk about that yet. We don't even. I don't ask the question. Someone in the chat room said he offered a Naples kid. They can't talk about that stuff, so we didn't get into it. But to me, he has the one thing that really no one else in the business has. He can sit down with any high school coach and go, "I was in that chair."
Well, also as an offensive coordinator, I mean, he was the OC for the 2010 Auburn team and Cam Newton that won the national championship. And he was the head coach, obviously, in 2013 when they came within a minute of beating Florida State and winning the national championship. And he beat Nick Saban in Alabama 3 times, won an SEC title.
As much as I love that he said he's known for his offense. He's an offensive innovator, but he talked about what he's done defensively in the last few years at Auburn. Those big linemen that they had there would make a hell of a difference to UCF with some big uglies up front, David.
Yeah, a couple Derek Browns would go a long way. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. Goes back to that Dungy story, the Lynch and Brooks. John, we could play without you. Derek, it's going to be really tough to play without you, but we'll figure out a way. We can't play without 99. I mean...
But David, I went through this whole roster And I meant what I said to him. If I'm not mistaken, there is only one player on their roster from the 239. One. You can't do that.
Well, they got an offensive lineman from Lakeland. And as has been pointed out in our Twitch chat room, hell, anytime there's a high school kid from Lakeland who doesn't go to the Gators,
right?
That's like, wow, what happened here? So, and as you mentioned, at least one kid at Naples got offered.
He's got a kid from Riverdale on the roster. Cole Snyder, a lineman from Riverdale. That is the only Southwest Floridian on his roster.
Now, O'Leary did recruit the area much harder than the two who came after him.
Correct.
But yes, lately there has not been the 2, 3, 4 kids a year go to UCF that we kind of had 2, 3 kids go every year, it seemed, for a handful of years. That's not happening. Maybe it will again.